Today I was recommended a book called God's Not Dead. The Evidence for God in the Age of Uncertainty. Because I'm not going to be actually spending my time reading this shit, I'm going to be reading until page 50, because that's all that they let me. Without page 49 for some reason. But that's basically all the arguments that I really need to discuss. Because page 50 is where okay, first off, I can cross out some of these. For living proof, I don't consider living proof as actual proof. Unless you can, physically see it, I guess. Grace effects, I don't know about that. Witness of scripture, that doesn't count because most of those are circular reasoning. This is an resurrection. This is to see God, not Christianity. Life has meaning and purpose. That's already false because both of those are social constructs. And that's 114. Life is no accident. 88. That number. I don't need to actually say anything about that because I don't care. That doesn't have anything to do with religion at all. There was the beginning, yeah, mainlander. So we would be doing the first 3 chapters basically. Skipping over the introduction because most of these don't actually make sense. Here, 1. God's not dead. What divides it? Oh, you're using John Lennox. I don't even know what that is. But which is a delusion? No one wants to base their life on a delusion, but which is a delusion? First of all, truth is a delusion. Everything is a delusion. We base our life on will and value, which are both delusions. So, already there, we do base our life on delusion. So people do want delusion. When a man stops believing in God, he doesn't then believe in nothing. He believes anything. No. That depends on the person. And since you're using man, I'm assuming you're a humanist, which means you kind of believe in humanity, which is a stupid idea. Humanism is just the ideal thing, like a perfect man. You imagine it in your head, and it's like this being that you're never going to actually obtain, but you should strive to be like, because it's perfect, and you can imagine it. Just imagine it right now. It's totally not a cultural myth. Think about it. Ironically, that's kind of a contradiction, because it only applies to moral. If you think of a perfect man, you can think of shy as perfection, but then you could also think outspoken, and it's contradicting. It depends on your actual likes, but whatever. These people just gonna define it as whatever. Why is it that when I'm recording stupid audio stuff, my voice goes so flat and tired, and I get breathing problems? Usually I'm really talkative. I was just ranting about this shit, and I decided to record it because I realized it's a good critique, and it's this shit sucks. More than 40 years ago, the cover of Time magazine asked, "Is God dead?" It's a claim by the 19th century German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche that God is dead. He claimed God is dead, but he didn't actually claim God is dead. He claimed that religion is dying. Just to correct that, that's not a critique or anything. That's just correcting that. But in this argument, it kind of assumes that he meant that, so maybe I didn't need to correct it, but whatever. But then, America overwhelmingly believes that God is alive, so how is faith dying? It's not. Nietzsche was wrong. So actually here I won't correct him on anything because he was right about most of this. But this one. If you are an atheist, you do not have to believe that the main point in all religions of the world is simply one huge mistake. Correct me on do not. I meant do. Stupid thing. There's a giant crack on my phone, so sorry about that. If you're a Christian, you're free to think that all those religions, even the queerest ones, contain at least some hint of truth. Scientology, no. When I was atheist, I had to persuade myself that most of the human race has always been wrong about the question that mattered to them the most. Also incorrect. Atheists historically believe that religion, if you're talking humanism, that religion has truth to it, but it's just humanity repressing themselves, and that the truth is the idealistic man that we all imagine in our brain, which doesn't actually exist, by the way, and it's enough for delusion. But yes, the entire world's delusional. Great, good for you, but most atheists don't believe in that. The arguments atheists use against God quickly disappear like a mirage when they are answered by learned believers such as Lewis. Lewis, come here. Yeah. Atheists claim that the universe isn't what you would expect if a supernatural God existed. All this death and suffering, they say, are plain evidence that a loving, intelligent God cannot be behind it all. The truth is that God had created a world where free moral agents are able to have real choices to do good and evil. If God created a world without that fundamental choice and option to do evil, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. Exactly. God made a world where choices are real and humanity is affected by the choices of other humans. And they try to play this off as a good thing. They're trying to make the assumption that free will is a good thing. In general, free will is bad. It's one of the worst things that, if God exists, he fucked us over with. Free will is one of the biggest violations of human rights in history. Free will is what causes war, genocide, destruction, hell. My life, I don't know. My life's perfect though, but these people in general, it's all fucked over because God decided, even though I'm a dictator, let me be a good dictator and make people unhappy with me by giving them free will. Yeah! Not like we could control them and make them happy regardless, like a perfect world. Not like we could just achieve a perfect world. The idea that a free moral agency, it's like a good thing, is so stupid because you're destroying perfection and saying that that's good. And then on the whole thing of morality and how, as creator, God has placed not only natural laws on the earth, but also spiritual laws. For instance, lying is wrong everywhere. So is stealing. Cruelty to children is wrong regardless of what culture you're in or country you're from. Not true. There are places where lying is good. White lies are an example in America, but in general, it's all subjective to the time, place, situation, and also the culture in general. There are people who, hypothetically, if they're raised in some sort of 09A or terrorist culture, it's lying, not too bad. Cruelty to children, QAnon does it all the time, and they say that's right. Conservatives, they do it. Stealing, Nazis. Can I say that? Probably. And it's but those are cultures. They're wrong cultures. They're gross cultures. I don't like I don't like them, and I don't like those bad people. I don't like terrorists. But you have to admit that they are proof that no matter where you are, all morals have at least some sort of counterculture to them. There's some sort of people who disagree in this world. So it's not a spiritual law. When these laws are broken, people are broken. People are also broken when you literally kill them just because they touched your altar. Or when you kill all of their firstborns. Just saying. Next is atheism or religion. Here they define a religion as a set of beliefs. We already know from Turner that a religion is any sort of belief system where you take an idea of an entity that is pure good and use that as an idol, such as humanists creating the ideal man and calling that an idol for people by taking it away from the godhood. Or, in normal religions like Christianity, where there's like Jesus or God, where it's a pure good being, and you have that as an idol, and it's all of the good parts of humanity. That is a religion, not a set of beliefs. Yes, humanists are a religion. Atheism is usually humanists in disguise, but if you're talking nihilistic atheism, like, I don't know, what Nietzsche wants to be but fails at, then no. That sort of atheism is not a religion. The idea of that there is no God is not a religion. If it's not humanism. Let's see. God must be a delusion because God couldn't exist. That is the definition of a delusion. Yes, something that does not exist, but people believe. Such as morals. Wow. This one doesn't even make sense. If you were walking through the woods and found a turtle on top of a fenced post, you could rationally conclude that it didn't get there by itself. It could have. Someone put it there. Even if you don't have explanation for who did it, it would be reasonable in assuming that time and change will eventually place a turtle onto a fence post. There are millions of different roads, millions of different realities where things happened. If suddenly lightning struck me in the face right now, and blood splattered everywhere, but in a specific pattern that was a heart, a beautiful aesthetic heart on the wall, and it's like super rare and a really rare chance and probably would never happen. But imagine, there are billions of trillions of roads, and in one of those, maybe I get struck by lightning and it creates an aesthetic heart of blood. It's beautiful, and it's a confession or something that God loves Mary Magdalene, and they make out or something, and they have a baby, they have sex and they fuck. The thing is, that can happen. There are a billion worlds, stupid worlds where dumb shit happens all the time, and it's just chance. We're not special. We're just the people who are randomly chosen. If you take a pile and you choose a random person, they're gonna think that they're special and that they were chosen for a reason. They're not. We are that. We're just like that. When chance is, we think we're special because the chance happened, and that a mythical thing that shouldn't have happened happens. We think we're special, but really, we were the chosen chance. We were the random thing, the random assumption, and we just assume that we're good because of that. That's the issue. We're narcissistic. We assume we're more valuable than others just because we are chosen for something random. So don't blame me for not being a narcissist. I mean, I'm God, but like, don't blame me for being a philosophical narcissist. And then the explanation on why atheists want to say that God isn't real is stupid. No God, no accountability. No God, no real morals. Most humanists believe in real morals and accountability. And me, personally, I only don't believe in God because I don't believe in anything. Except for whatever I think is true, and I even think that what I think is true is a stupid delusion that I made up to justify my own mindset, which is usually just bullshit. Because there are things I don't have explanations for that I just make up shit about. So even then, no. It's stupid. Okay, now time to use the fascist majority theory, where it's like, well, if you think that the majority of the world's under some sort of delusion, then you're pretty stupid. Yes. There you go. Is that what you want? The War of the Worldviews. Yeah, that is true. Reason isn't always reasonable. Everyone has their own worldview and they're not going to change easily. They're not going to change at all. And I support that. You shouldn't change your mindset. It's not good. So, honestly, this whole thing is right, but it's from the wrong perspective. It's from the perspective that not having your own worldview is good. Not having your own worldview is bad. And now, imagine there's no heaven. Here's a good chapter. It's not. I just said that because I thought it'd sound cool. If there's no heaven, there's no God. If there's no God or heaven, then this life is all that there is. When you're dead, you're dead. What John Lennon imagined. He's dead. Vladimir Lenin, two Lenins, and it's the same thing, had already built into communist, socialist, Marxist state of Russia, you know. so calming. So, the godless world of that, Lenin, was a living nightmare. It really wasn't. The majority of that. Yeah, okay, I'm skipping over that. And you cannot compare Mao to Pol Pot. That's insane. If God is dead, man is dead as well. Yes, man as a humanistic concept is dumb. Man is not the true cause of evil, but man is not a thing in the first place. It's a social construct, and it's idealistic. It's as real as God is. So, although the critique of humanism is strange and wrong, humanism is also strange and wrong. One of his favorite tactic is to use mockery. Yeah, not a lot from actually explain shit. If God is so powerful. Dude, the stupid briefing stuff. A student once told me that he had heard this question in a philosophy class. If God is so powerful, could he create a rock so big he couldn't move it? He told me that when he couldn't come up with the answer, he eventually backslid. My thought was, if one riddle shook your faith, then you didn't have far to slide. We shouldn't abandon truth when the evangelists of unbelief should throw their confident lies at us. The question actually violates logic's law of non-contradiction, and the answer to the philosopher's riddle is simple. Because God is all powerful, he cannot create anything he cannot handle. All powerful. God, I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what that means. I genuinely don't. Because God is all powerful, he cannot create anything he cannot handle. So he can't do something. So he can't can do anything. So when he says he can do anything, he's lying. But it makes sense. You can't have a contradiction anywhere. Like, at all. It's a law in logic. But at the same time, I feel like this is a contradiction of itself. Because he's so powerful, he can't do something. Like, this actually hurts my head. It makes sense, but it doesn't really. Like, what do you want? What's your response here? Other challenges are much more absurd. Late night comic and professional cynic. Ugh. Bill Maher. It's Bill Maher. Regularly uses ridicule to denounce religion. Most of his arguments are strawmans, false pictures of something that have been created only so they can be confuted. Maher often takes the worst part of anything associated with religion. Suicide bombers, He then announces religion must die. Okay, sure, okay, I'll allow that, at least, because, some people... And I'm not talking about the 9/11 stuff, because honestly, I don't have anything appropriate to say about it. Breaking news. I don't really know what this is saying. It's just saying that, religion, why God's existence matters. It doesn't? Well, it does. It kind of chooses, like, if you're gonna have some sort of consequence or anything. Why should we even be concerned with the question, does God exist? Does it really matter? I asked him, have you ever written a song? His expression changes instantly as it seemed that I was changing the subject from God and to something he really wanted to talk about. He said yes. Then I asked, why did you want to write a song? I wanted to share my feelings with others, to create something they could enjoy as well, and express my heart and my thoughts. What would you do if you wrote a song for those notable reasons, and someone either denied you wrote the song or mistakenly gave credit to someone else for writing it instead of you? Would that bother you? Yes, it's called copyright claims. What if you created a planet? You could see, yeah. The denial of God is important because it denies morals. And if you deny moral, you deny social construct as a whole, and can lead you to what is true, which is nihilism. It's also just a stupid thing for people to justify their own mindset. A religious person will try to create the idea of God because, they want to justify their morals and they want to justify why they live and how they live. Sometimes they do that to get rid of the insecurity of them thinking they're not good enough by saying that something gave their life up for you. Or it's to delude themselves and a value to life through God so that they don't feel like everything's worthless. Well, that's insecurity as well. But it can also be to just justify their own mindset, everything. Because that is what religion, philosophy, and everything's about. It's just justifying your brain and how you feel and how you think. That's it. Or denying yourself. So in the end, it's for a different reason. Summary. When you hear God is back, that obviously doesn't mean he actually went anywhere. Faith in God is back. Nice, so you understand what Nietzsche was trying to say when he said God is dead. Real faith isn't blind. At church they always say faith is defined as blindness, as believing something that you don't have proof for. So I guess this is just trying to go against what everyone else says and define it to your own standards. Revolutionary. You throw up. Pages 20 to 21 are not shown.